tell my younger self to slow down, seize the moment.
Pursue your dreams.
When everyone's mean to you, don't take it so personal. They're just coming from a place of misunderstanding.
Invest in Google, Microsoft, Apple, Amazon.
Invest either in myself or real estate.
Girl, trust yourself. Trust yourself.
Stop worrying about as much about what other people think of me.
Don't try to be who you're not. Chill out a little bit.
Just be patient and just know that things will be okay.
A lot of the stuff that you're worried about, don't trip. It's not important. You'll be all right.
You are loved and chosen just the way you are.
The Swiss philosopher Alain de Botton said, "We are all crazy in some way. The crucial question is, what are the ways you are crazy? What are the parts of your life that have been blocked by fear? How exactly do you self-destruct? In what ways have you not been loved?" The false self is the identity within each one of us that's born from fear, not love. The question at the heart of the human condition isn't, do you have a false self? You do. We all do. The question is, where did the false self come from? And more importantly, how do I live as my true self? My discovery, and I know how crazy this is going to sound, but my discovery is that the ancient story of the Bible offers the best, most coherent, and most effective response to those very questions. I don't trust the biblical story because it was drilled into me when I was too young to consciously object, or because I was convinced by someone's straw man argument. I trust the biblical story because it's the meta story that my micro story seems to fit best within. It's the big story that explains my personal story. Not a story of repression, but one that's taught me to know and live as my true self in this world. The basic claim on the Bible's opening pages is that God was authoring a story full of life, held together by perfect love, summarized in the phrase, naked and unashamed. But that story came apart at the seams because people believed a lie. The Genesis drama about talking snakes and forbidden fruit is really a story about human identity. Where there was once love and love only, a serpent introduces the possibility of fear. And the most fascinating part of the original lie is this: nowhere does the serpent ever tell Eve to eat the fruit. He gets into her head and warps her view of God, and then Adam's not far behind. But, and here's where it gets psychologically fascinating, the first effect of a warped view of God, according to Genesis, is a warped view of myself. Then the eyes of both of them were opened, and they realized they were naked, so they sewed fig leaves together and made coverings for themselves, says Genesis chapter 3. They realized they were naked. They became self-conscious. For the first time, human beings felt the need to cover up parts of themselves, to hide parts of themselves while intentionally presenting others, to put on a best self, a public self, fig leaves. That was the world's first attempt to control perception. And since that day, we've never managed to stop feeling the need to do the same. What Genesis called fig leaves, we know as shame. This isn't about behavior. It's a story about shame. It's about the true story of who I am and all the lies that clutter my view of myself. How do I find myself? The common cultural script goes something like, live naked and unashamed in the real world. And that's it. Yes, that's good, but it's only halfway home. The profound insight in the Hebrew poetry found on the Bible's opening couple pages is you can't repair a view of yourself without repairing a view of God. My identity is inseparably bound with God's identity. God is love. That's good news with a dark shadow. The good news is you are loved. Loved right now without qualification or restriction. Loved unconditionally. Loved in a way you cannot lose. The dark shadow is you'll find that love very hard to trust and even harder to experience. Your instinct is and will forever be to drum up your own lovableness, to become lovable in some way you can define and control, to become in your own eyes what you already are in God's. The whole of the biblical story is wedged right between those two forces. In fact, the whole of your personal story is wedged right between those two forces, even if you call them by different names. In the middle is Jesus, the embodiment of God's pursuing love. There's this incredible scene in the book-turned-film A Beautiful Boy, a true story about a father whose son got himself stuck deep in a pit of meth addiction. A couple of relapses in, the father hates drugs, but he will never, ever give up on his son. So anyway, there's this one scene where the dad's driving through one of the worst pockets of San Francisco at 2 a.m. in an absolute downpour, weeping hysterically because his son is missing again. No one knows where he is. It's another relapse, another run doing who knows what with who knows who. The false self wins when we lose ourselves. We forget who we were made to be, who we are most deeply. So here's this dad, raw and grieving, but he's also determined with a righteous sort of anger that he's not closing his eyes till he's found his son. And finally, after hours, he finds him, and the boy climbs into the passenger seat. Now, that kid in that passenger seat, he's still an addict. He's not out of the woods, not even close. This isn't freedom, not yet, but it is rescue. He's in the safety of a pursuing love that will never quit, that will never give up, that will never grow tired of searching for him in every corner he loses himself in. The fight of his life is still ahead of him. It's learning to trust that love, to entrust himself to that love, to see himself in his own eyes as he already is in his Father's eyes. And it's that, to discover himself as beloved, not because of himself, but in spite of himself. It's that love and only that love that's powerful enough to heal him and free him. That's the meta story of Jesus. But it's also my story and the stories of so many others. It's a story of discovering a loving pursuer hidden in plain sight, and equally discovering myself as beloved, as fully known and fully loved. And it's that love that's powerful enough to free me and heal me to know myself, to find myself, and to become myself. In the words of the contemplative Thomas Keating, if we have not experienced ourselves as unconditional love, we have more work to do, because that is who we really are.